Hello, everybody. Mrs. Goucher back for another video on another elaboration technique. So you've already seen the video for explaining and using really precise details. You've looked at the one about using definitions, facts, or statistics, basically any kind of logical evidence. and sorry. Also looked at giving an example. So today's video is going to be about using imagery. And imagery is about describing something using your five senses. So you're going to pull a little bit of your knowledge from biology. Let's talk about what those five senses are. Um, four of them are located on your head. So think about your eyes, your sense of sight, your ears, that's your sense of hearing, your nose, a sense of smell, and your tongue, the sense of taste. The fifth one is really anywhere on your body, but we usually think of it from your fingers. That's your sense of touch. Because usually when you put your hand on a hot stove or you're holding something really cold, you feel that in your hands. But really, you also feel it when you bump into the corner of a desk, when somebody bumps into you because they weren't really looking. So it's really any kind of sensation that your body feels, that's your sense of touch. So when you are describing something, you can use your various senses to give your readers a whole immersive experience. They're going to feel like they're in your shoes because they're seeing, hearing, smelling, feeling, or sometimes tasting what you what you are going through. So here's an example of a very simple sentence: my room was messy. But let's take a look at all the different senses you see being used in the more elaborate description. My room looked like a tornado had touched down. I tripped over clothes thrown in every direction of the room. Dirty dishes were piled next to the bed, and the sheets were covered in crumbs and a half-eaten sandwich. The smell was so bad it made my eyes water. So, first of all, we start off with our sense of sight, what the room looked like. Next one, I tripped over clothes. So that is your sense of touch because you're experiencing that feeling with your body. Dirty dishes were piled next to the bed. So that again is your sense of sight. And the sheets were covered in crumbs and a half-eaten sandwich. So now you've got sight because you can see it. You've got touch because if you've ever eaten in bed and gotten crumbs in your bed, you can feel those crumbs on your skin. And possibly your sense of taste, since it is a half-eaten sandwich. If you ate half of it, you remember what that taste was like. And the smell was so bad, it made my eyes water. So now we're talking about your sense of smell. So in your personal narrative, if there is another way for you to describe something in more detail, using those five senses really, again, puts the readers into your shoes so they experience everything you experienced using your senses. In addition to using imagery, you can also use figurative language. Figurative language is not literal. It's not actually what happened. You're using some different types of language to, again, try to create a more interesting picture, but it's not literal. It's figurative or symbolic. Some types of figurative language that you have used in the past, especially when we looked at our poetry unit, were similes, metaphor, hyperbole, and personification. So a simile and a metaphor are very similar to one another. They compare two unlike objects, but they're different in that a simile compares the two using like or as, and a metaphor compares the two, saying that one is the other one. Um, Hyperbole, that is an over exaggeration. If I've told you once, I've told you a million times. Well, you haven't literally told me a million times. It's a figure of speech, but it's exaggerated to kind of get that point across. And personification, that's where you give lifelike qualities to something that is not alive. So let's take a look. We have a very simple sentence here. I had a headache. Well, if you wanted to use figurative language to describe your headache, you could say, the thumping in my temple. Hey, thumping, that's an example of imagery using your five senses because you can feel when you have a headache and your head thumps. The thumping in my temple was as painful as an aluminum baseball bat repeatedly hitting my head. There we have an example of a simile. We're comparing the pain in the head to getting hit by an aluminum baseball bat by using the word as. If I wanted to turn that into a metaphor, I would say the thumping in my head was an aluminum baseball bat hitting me repeatedly. So I take out the as, and I'm just saying that the thumping is a baseball bat hitting me over and over and over again. Again, not literal. There's no literal baseball bat hitting me, but I'm saying that the thumping is a baseball bat hitting me over and over again. Okay. If I wanted to personify this, I would say the thumping in my temple hit me again and again and again using its little fists, right? There's nothing inside my head that has little fists. It's just the pain that's causing the throbbing. But by giving that pain little fists, like they're boxing, that's personifying it. That's making it like it's a real person. And if I wanted to use a hyperbole to exaggerate, the thumping in my temple was killing me. Is it killing me? No, not literally. I'm still here, but I'm using an exaggeration. So, in your writing for your personal narrative, consider using either imagery, using your five senses, or including some type of figurative language.